How many times have you caught yourself thinking, if I were someone else, my life would be easier? It's tempting to look at others and assume they live without problems. But is that really the case? The story of the eagle reveals a powerful and painful lesson. Wishing to be something we are not can lead us to paths we never imagined. And those paths may not always have a return. Imagine losing everything you are in exchange for an illusion. That is exactly what happened to a man who believed that the life of an eagle would solve all his problems. However, what he found was a much bigger challenge, a fatal mistake that cost him dearly. Do you want to know what happened? Get ready, because this story may change the way you see your own life. There are moments when dissatisfaction overwhelms the human mind, making the value of one's own life fade in the face of illusory comparisons. This man, sitting in the shadow of his frustrations, viewed his routine as a prison, forgetting to appreciate the small victories that life offered him. On a seemingly ordinary day, while bitter thoughts took shape, he noticed an imposing figure perched on a tree. It was an eagle, serene and powerful, enjoying its hunt as if the world imposed no challenges. In that moment, the man's mind filled with an utopian desire. How easy life must be like that, he thought, ignoring the hardships of wildlife. The sight of the bird, with its wings spread wide and its distant gaze, planted an unusual idea, to be something he was not. If I were an eagle, none of this would matter, he murmured, almost as if seeking solace in a distant fantasy. This thought may seem absurd to some, but how many times have we wished to escape our own reality, believing someone else's life is easier without ever knowing the price they pay? The illusion of a perfect life is often built on the ignorance of others' struggles. Driven by the hope that transformation would solve all his problems, he cried out to the heavens with all his might. A cry mixed with naivety, almost childlike, but filled with a deep desire for change. I want to be an eagle, free, powerful above all. However, life has a curious way of responding to such requests, and the universe, wise in its lessons, did not hesitate to answer. A sound echoed through the air, as if time itself had stopped to listen to that plea. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a celestial voice that, though soft, carried an unquestionable weight. Are you sure you want to abandon who you are? Once an eagle, you can never return. It was a clear warning, but the man, blinded by his yearning for a life without difficulties, ignored the implications. Yes, I'm sure, he responded without hesitation. At that moment, the man sealed his fate, believing that flying would solve his anguish. Little did he know that he was about to experience a world as beautiful as it was cruel. Transformed into an eagle, the man experienced an indescribable freedom. Flying through the skies, with the wind hitting his wings, brought him a sense of power he never imagined possible. He ascended to heights no human could ever reach and marveled at majestic landscapes from above, as if the world were finally at his fingertips. In those first moments, he believed he had won. This is what I wanted, he thought. But the initial euphoria began to give way to a reality he had never considered. Soon came the need to build a nest. As an eagle, he now needed a safe place to rest. But he realized that constructing a home in treetops or steep cliffs demanded effort and skill. Every branch was heavy, and every decision carried risk. The man, now a bird, felt the weight of the responsibilities he had once neglected. Additionally, the search for food proved to be a grueling and exhausting task. It wasn't enough to fly. He had to keep his eyes sharp, remain patient, and have the strength to capture prey that rarely made the hunt easy. As time passed, the challenges multiplied. He flew for hours, but the prey escaped. When he finally managed to catch something, it was a thin and sickly creature which barely eased the hunger gnawing at his strength. The reality that once seemed so attractive began to reveal itself as harsh and unforgiving. He started to question his choices, but as the celestial voice had warned, there was no going back. The life of an eagle, which had once appeared to be the solution to his problems, turned out to be full of unknown challenges. Then came the storm. A powerful force overtook the skies, and he, with no way to protect himself, fought futilely against the wind. The nest he had built with such effort was destroyed before his eyes. His claw was severely injured during the battle against the gusts, and he fell, weak and exhausted. There, on the cold and lonely ground, the Eagle Man began to understand that every being carries its own struggles. The life he had idealized as perfect was far from being easy or free from suffering. Hunger became his constant companion, and the injured claw worsened his situation. What had once seemed like a small setback now turned into an insurmountable obstacle. He, who once soared high with strength and skill, now struggled just to stay aloft. In one of his desperate hunts for food, he spotted a lone, weak animal. It was a small, sick creature, a sign of his fragility as a predator. He dove down, using the last of his strength, but the catch barely filled his needs. Reality, growing ever crueler, did not forgive his weakness. And then the crows came, small, persistent, and relentless. They attacked him incessantly, sensing his vulnerability. Without the energy to fly high and escape, he found himself cornered, enduring pecks and cries that echoed like a reminder of his condition. Before, as a human, he would never have imagined that a creature as grand as the eagle could be humiliated by such small birds. But there he was, weak, alone, and at the mercy of the challenges nature imposed. The lesson began to take shape, though it was already too late. Without a shelter and with his strength fading, the eagle, once majestic, was forced to search for an unlikely refuge. He flew over a human hospital, a place he, as a man, would have never considered relevant. He landed on the ground with difficulty, exhausted and battered, like someone finally surrendering to the weight of their own struggle. At that moment, he wished more than ever to be a man again. He longed for what he had once despised, the small certainties of his former life. Now he understood that even human difficulties carry a balance he had never valued. However, fate did not relent. The price of his choices had already been paid. Weak and starving, the eagle remained there, too feeble to resist. Death approached slowly, like an inevitable conclusion. As silence fell, it left behind the reflection of a life marked by the misguided pursuit of something that was never meant to be his. The transformation that had seemed like a gift turned out to be an unbearable burden, more than a story of suffering. That moment carried a powerful message. There is a high price when we stray from who we truly are. The story of the eagle brings a truth that few are willing to face. Wishing to be something we are not can come at a high cost. The man believed that changing his form would solve his problems, but he encountered challenges even more difficult than the ones he already had. How many times in life do we idealize a reality different from our own? Whether dreaming of someone else's life or searching for a magic formula to eliminate difficulties, we forget that every choice carries a weight. Self-knowledge is the only path capable of freeing us from these illusions. Accepting who we are does not mean resigning ourselves, but understanding our strengths, limits, and the journey that has been given to us. Like the eagle, many look to the sky believing that others live without struggles. However, everyone carries their battles, and these struggles shape us. Valuing what we have is the first step toward a fuller life. If you are dissatisfied with your life today, stop and look around. What can you do to improve? Sometimes, the answer lies in small changes in the skills you already possess, and in the blessings that through distraction, you failed to notice. Curiously, even the eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom, faces extreme challenges. Storms, scarcity of food, and the need to build and protect a nest are constant parts of its existence. So too is human life. There is no perfection. There is only the process of adaptation and growth. When we recognize our difficulties and work with what we have, we become more resilient. Use this reflection to think about your own journey. Instead of wishing for another life, why not focus on what can be strengthened in your current reality? Finally, the story reminds us that wasting time wishing to be someone or something else is a waste of life. There is no easy solution to problems, only the wisdom to face what has been given to us. Therefore, self-knowledge is the key to an intentional and meaningful existence. What lessons can you draw today from your own journey? Perhaps now is the time to pause, reflect, and be grateful. After all, the greatest transformation begins when we recognize who we are and decide to grow with a light heart and a clear purpose. The story of the eagle makes us reflect on the danger of wishing to be something we are not. While we waste time envying someone else's life, we fail to value the blessings we already possess and the opportunities surrounding us. The secret to a fulfilling life is not in escaping difficulties, but in learning from them. And you? Have you been looking at your life with gratitude, or are you still wishing for the impossible? Stop now and reflect. What can you do today to transform your reality with the skills and gifts you already have? Change begins when we decide to embrace who we truly are. If you enjoyed this reflection and want to keep learning transformative lessons like this one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. I want to know which part of this story touched you the most. Let's grow and evolve together.